All right, let's hit rewind. It's the late 1800s and cities are booming, literally overflowing with people, businesses, and horse. Over 100,000 horses roam New York City alone, each dropping 20 to 30 pounds of manure per day. It was loud, stinky, and a genuine public health nightmare. Then enter the automobile, not just a new mode of transportation, but a possible savior for cities. But believe it or not everyone welcomed this newfangled feculent-saving technology. Early automobiles were loud, unpredictable, and often seen as risky experiments. Horses and people alike were terrified of them. Were these mechanical beasts even safe? As the excrement piles grew taller and taller and smellier, city dwellers gradually warmed up to the idea of this new crazy invention, and electric cars weren't just accepted, they became the hero solution. My name is Maverick from Legacy EV, and welcome to the history of the electric vehicle. Now, long before Teslas made electric cars cool, inventors were already sparking the idea. Back in 1828, a Hungarian priest named Ányos Jedlik made a tiny electric motor just powerful enough to spin on a tabletop. Small, but revolutionary. Jump to Scotland a few years later, and Robert Anderson built the first electric carriage. It ran briefly, but without rechargeable batteries. It was mostly a fancy party trick. Later, another Scotsman, Robert Davidson, built an electric locomotive named Galvani, pulling 6 tons at a whopping 4 miles per hour. Now that may not seem like much, but it was so impressive it actually scared the steamworkers into smashing it, literally hammering out their competition. So now what was the electric vehicle's big hurdle? You maybe have a guess. It was batteries. But everything changed in 1859 when a French physicist named Gaston Planté invented the rechargeable lead-acid battery, the very same tech that starts up the engine in your gas car today. With rechargeable battery tech, we can fast forward to the 1880s, where English inventor Thomas Parker built a battery-powered tram and electric car prototypes decades before clean energy was cool. Meanwhile, in the great state of Iowa, Scottish-born William Morrison created an electric carriage so impressive it stole the spotlight at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair. So if you've been paying attention, that's 3 different Scots who helped pioneer electric power. Shout out to all those Scottish homies who led the charge.
But they'll never take our freedom!
Now, by the late 1800s, electric cars were hitting the roads and occasionally leaving gasoline-powered rivals in the dust. In Philadelphia, inventors Pedro Salom and Henry Morris developed the Electrobat. Heavy and clunky at first, but soon quick enough to win races against early gas cars. Their electric cabs dominated New York City streets, with over 600 taxis and a futuristic battery swapping station operating out of an old ice rink. Crazy. I mean, are there even 600 electric taxis operating in New York right now?
Hey! I'm walking here! I'm walking here!
Another electric car company, Columbia, eventually became America's top-selling car brand years before Ford's Model T rolled off the production line. Electric vehicles were quiet, clean, and perfect for city life. Women especially loved them. Clara Ford, Henry Ford's wife, drove electrics herself, steering clear of her husband's noisy Model T. For a moment, electrics weren't just promising, they were thriving. Entering the 1900s, the race was tight. Steam versus gasoline versus electric. EVs were easy and clean. Steam cars took forever to start, and gasoline vehicles were loud, dirty, and difficult to crank. But things started changing. As American roads expanded, Americans wanted longer road trips, and gasoline cars offered much easier refueling. Then Henry Ford changed the game entirely. His Model T debuted at $850 and quickly dropped below $300. Electric cars were double, triple, even 10 times that cost. The final blow? Cadillac's electric starter motor in 1912. There was no more hand cranking, which meant gas cars were now just as easy to start as the electric vehicle. And they could go further, a lot further. Electric vehicles just quietly faded out as gasoline took center stage. Now, for decades, electric vehicles stayed in the shadows, only applied to pretty random tech, like quiet milk floats and some small delivery trucks. Useful, but not exactly thrilling. After World War II, gasoline was cheap in America, but expensive in Japan. Nissan's tiny Tama emerged, boxy but effective for short trips. Other experiments popped up too, like the 1959 Henny Kilowatt, fast enough for city life, but sales were still tiny. GM's Electrovaya 2 in 1966 showed promise, but cost as much as a mansion, so it stayed as a one-off prototype. Then NASA took electric vehicles to the moon literally, driving lunar rovers across the dusty lunar surface in the harshest of environments. By the 80s and 90s, electric cars needed better batteries badly. Cell phones and laptops helped change the game by ushering in lithium-ion battery technology, changing everything. Lighter and more powerful, these batteries sparked a new wave. In fact, in 1997, California's AC Propulsion built the T0, a crazy fast electric sports car that was actually powered by literal laptop batteries. One Silicon Valley entrepreneur, Martin Eberhard, took notice of this. He teamed up with Mark Tarpenning, founded Tesla Motors, and got some funding from a guy named Musk, who was never heard from again. Tesla Roadsters proved EVs could be stylish, fast, and fun, over 200 miles on a single charge. Electric cars weren't just back, they were better. Now, Tesla, of course, didn't just make electric cars, they made electric cars cool and accessible. Their Model S, introduced in 2012, became the gold standard. Luxury, long range, sort of, fast-ish charging, and stylish enough to win Car of the Year. But Tesla also built more than just cars. They started to build the necessary infrastructure. Superchargers made long-distance trips more practical. No more battery swapping ice rinks needed. Tesla's impact wasn't just technical, it was cultural. Even if there were a few misses along the way, EVs are finally becoming mainstream. But what's next? High-tech axial flux motors, solid-state batteries promising longer ranges and quicker charging, wireless charging pads, and cars doubling as power sources for homes. We're seeing everything from electric hypercars hitting 60 miles per hour in under 2 seconds to electric trucks handling heavy-duty work. EVs are diverse, exciting, and evolving fast. Challenges still exist, of course. Charging infrastructure, sustainable batteries, but if history has taught us anything, innovation is unstoppable. EVs aren't just the future. They're here today and evolving fast. But it is just the beginning of what started 2 centuries ago. Electric vehicles aren't just transportation or even poop-producing machines. They're reshaping how we live, move, and even how we power our homes. So thanks for joining this ride. Remember, the electric journey isn't over, it's just getting interesting. Don't forget to subscribe and stay curious, because the future of EVs, it's charging ahead, full speed.